As an endocrinologist who has spent decades working with older adults across the United States, I can tell you that the most overlooked part of aging is not blood sugar, hormones, or muscle loss. It is how unseen people begin to feel in their own bodies. Many of my patients over 60 don't walk into my office complaining about a disease. They walk in saying things like, "Doctor, I just don't feel steady anymore," or "Getting up from the couch feels harder than it used to," or "I'm careful now because I don't want to fall." These are not dramatic symptoms, and that's exactly why they are so often dismissed. Friends say it's normal. Family members say it's just age. Even some clinicians rush past these concerns because there's no single lab test that screams danger. But from a hormonal and metabolic perspective, these quiet changes matter deeply because they are the early signals that the body is shifting how it uses energy, muscle, and nerve signals. When a person feels weaker in their legs or less confident in their balance, it doesn't mean they've failed to take care of themselves. It means their body is asking for different support than it needed at 40 or 50. In the US, where independence is closely tied to dignity, this loss of confidence can be emotionally heavier than pain itself. People start planning their movements, holding onto furniture, avoiding stairs, or skipping walks they once enjoyed. They don't always say they're afraid, but the fear shows up in how carefully they live. What I want people to understand is that these experiences are not imaginary, and they are not something to be talked down or brushed aside. As we age, hormone signaling changes. Protein absorption becomes less efficient. Vitamin D activation declines. And muscles, especially in the legs, respond more slowly to everyday use. That doesn't make someone weak-minded or lazy. It makes them human. When health information speaks in plain language, acknowledges these lived experiences, and says, "This is common, and here's why," something important happens. People stop blaming themselves. They stop feeling like their body is betraying them for no reason. Instead, they begin to see their body as something they can work with again. I see this shift all the time when patients finally feel heard. Their shoulders relax. They ask better questions. They become open to small, realistic changes, like adjusting breakfast, improving hydration, or moving gently at the right times of day. They don't need extreme workouts or complicated plans. They need reassurance that what they're feeling makes sense and that there are practical ways to support their hormones, muscles, and nerves as they are now. When someone feels seen, not judged, they're far more likely to take action. And that action is what protects mobility, balance, and independence. Good medicine is not just about numbers on a chart. It's about helping people recognize themselves in the conversation and giving them back confidence in their own body, one steady step at a time. One of the most damaging myths I see affecting older adults in America is the quiet belief that decline is inevitable and unexplained. Many people come to me already convinced that feeling tired in the morning, waking up with high blood sugar despite eating carefully, or losing strength in their legs is simply the price of getting older. They often lower their expectations without realizing it. They stop asking why their body feels different and start assuming nothing can be done. This belief doesn't come from ignorance. It comes from years of being told, directly or indirectly, that aging equals loss. But from a medical standpoint, especially when we look at hormones and metabolism, that story is incomplete and unfair. The body after 60 is not broken. It is operating under a different set of rules. When those rules are explained clearly, without blame or fear, people feel an immediate sense of relief. They realize they haven't been doing everything wrong. Their body has simply changed how it processes energy, stress, and repair. Take nighttime blood sugar as an example. Many Americans do everything they're told. They eat a light dinner, avoid dessert, take a short walk, and still wake up with fasting glucose readings over 140 or 150 milligrams per deciliter. That experience is deeply frustrating and emotionally exhausting. People begin to feel like their discipline doesn't matter. What they're rarely told is that during sleep, especially in the early morning hours, the liver releases glucose to keep the brain and organs functioning. This is a normal survival mechanism. The problem is not that the liver is misbehaving, it's that insulin doesn't work as efficiently at night in aging bodies. When insulin resistance increases, glucose can't move smoothly into cells, so it stays in the bloodstream. That explanation alone can lift a heavy emotional weight. Suddenly, the issue is not personal failure, it's physiology. And physiology can be supported. Relief also comes from understanding that symptoms often blamed on age are actually signals, not sentences. Morning fatigue, dry mouth, bloating, frequent nighttime bathroom trips, or waking up feeling unrested are not just inconveniences. They are clues about how hormones like insulin, cortisol, and melatonin are interacting overnight. When cortisol stays high, the liver releases more sugar. When sleep is shallow, insulin sensitivity drops. When magnesium levels are low, nerves and muscles don't respond efficiently. None of this is about willpower. It's about balance. When patients hear this explained in simple language, without medical jargon, they often say the same thing. No one ever told me that before. That moment of understanding replaces anxiety with clarity. In American culture, there is also a strong tendency to judge health outcomes as moral outcomes. If your numbers are high, you must not be trying hard enough. If your body is slowing down, you must have let yourself go. This mindset creates shame, and shame shuts down motivation. From a clinical perspective, shame has no therapeutic value. Relief, on the other hand, opens the door to change. When people understand that their body is responding to age-related shifts in hormones, muscle sensitivity, and nutrient absorption, they become curious instead of defensive. They ask how to work with their body rather than fight it. This is why gentle, realistic guidance matters so much. Explaining that a small, balanced bedtime snack can calm liver glucose output, or that certain nutrients support insulin response during sleep, feels empowering rather than overwhelming. It reframes health as a partnership. The body isn't an enemy to control, it's a system to support. That shift in perspective reduces stress, and lower stress alone improves blood sugar control. I've seen patients' fasting glucose improve simply because they stopped going to bed worried and confused. Their nervous system settled, sleep deepened, and hormones followed suit. True relief comes when people realize they are not behind. They are simply at a different stage. Aging does not mean surrendering control, it means updating the strategy. When health information respects that truth, explains the why behind the symptoms, and removes judgment from the conversation, people regain trust in their bodies. And trust is the foundation of lasting change. What gives me the greatest sense of responsibility is not simply diagnosing conditions, but helping people see a future that still belongs to them. After years of being told that numbers only go one direction and that strength inevitably fades, many older adults quietly stop expecting improvement. They don't say it out loud, but it shows in their posture, their questions, and the way they talk about their bodies. Hope, in medicine, is not about making bold promises. It's about showing people where influence still exists. And the truth is, even after 60 or 70, the body remains remarkably responsive when given the right signals at the right time. One of the most powerful shifts I see in my patients happens when they understand that small changes, not dramatic overhauls, can create measurable improvements. In the United States, people are often taught that if a solution isn't intense, it isn't effective. But hormonally, the body responds better to consistency than extremes. Something as simple as what you eat in the evening can influence how your liver behaves overnight, how deeply you sleep, and how steady your blood sugar is by morning. When patients hear that they don't need to starve at night or exhaust themselves with late workouts to see progress, their mindset changes. They begin to feel hopeful without feeling pressured. Nighttime is especially important because it's when the body repairs insulin receptors, calms the nervous system, and resets hormones that control appetite and energy. Many people assume that if they're not eating, their blood sugar should stay low. In reality, going to bed hungry can signal stress to the body. Stress hormones rise, the liver releases more glucose, and insulin becomes less effective. This is why some people wake up with higher fasting readings after skipping a bedtime snack. Understanding this doesn't just explain a number on a glucose meter. It restores confidence. It tells people their body isn't unpredictable. It's responding logically to the signals it receives. Hope becomes practical when people see that foods they already recognize can support this process. A small portion of nuts, yogurt, or a warm protein-rich snack isn't a loophole or a cheat. It's a tool. These foods provide healthy fats, protein, and minerals like magnesium that help insulin work more smoothly during sleep. When insulin works better, the liver doesn't need to flood the bloodstream with glucose. Over time, this can lower fasting blood sugar by meaningful amounts, often 5 to 10 milligrams per deciliter, without adding medication. That kind of improvement may sound modest, but clinically, it's significant. It reduces strain on blood vessels, protects nerves, and lowers long-term risk. What makes this hopeful rather than overwhelming is that the changes are manageable. We're not talking about strict meal plans, expensive supplements, or hours at the gym. We're talking about timing, balance, and listening to the body's cues. Many of my patients report that after making these adjustments, they sleep more deeply, wake up less often to use the bathroom, and feel clearer in the morning. Those experiences reinforce hope because they are felt, not just measured. When someone wakes up with more energy and sees a lower number on their meter, belief follows naturally. Hope also grows when people realize that improvement doesn't require perfection. Missing a night doesn't erase progress. Enjoying a family dinner doesn't undo weeks of steady habits. The body responds to patterns, not single events. This understanding reduces anxiety, and lower anxiety improves hormonal balance on its own. Cortisol, a stress hormone that raises blood sugar, drops when people stop fearing every choice. In that sense, hope becomes a biological advantage. In my practice, the patients who do best are not the ones chasing dramatic results. They are the ones who trust that small, consistent support adds up. They stop viewing aging as a downhill slide and start seeing it as a phase that requires smarter care. That perspective shift is powerful. It replaces resignation with curiosity and fear with forward motion. And that is what true hope in health looks like. Not false promises, but real, sustainable progress that people can feel in their daily lives. I've learned that empowerment does not come from complexity. It comes from familiarity. Many of my patients already feel overwhelmed by health advice. They are told to track numbers, avoid entire food groups, exercise harder, sleep better, stress less, all at once. For someone living a full life, caring for family, managing a home, or simply trying to enjoy retirement, that kind of advice doesn't feel empowering. It feels paralyzing. What truly changes outcomes is when people realize that the most effective solutions are often the simplest ones, built from foods and habits they already recognize and trust. In the United States, food is deeply personal. People grew up with certain staples in their kitchens: nuts in a bowl, yogurt in the fridge, a warm drink before bed. When health guidance tells them those familiar items can actually support blood sugar, sleep, and energy, it restores a sense of control. Instead of feeling like their life needs to be rebuilt around a diagnosis, they feel like small adjustments can fit naturally into what they already do. That feeling is empowerment. It says, you don't need to become someone else to get healthier. From a hormonal perspective, simple foods work because the body values balance, not extremes. A small bedtime snack with healthy fat and protein sends a signal of safety to the brain. It tells the nervous system that resources are available, so stress hormones don't need to rise. When stress hormones stay low, the liver stays calm and insulin works more effectively. This is not advanced medicine. It's basic physiology applied thoughtfully. Yet for many people, it's the first time they've been told that eating a little at night can actually help, not hurt, their blood sugar. Empowerment also comes from using US-friendly measurements and realistic portions. We're not talking about large meals or counting grams obsessively. We're talking about a small handful of nuts, a few tablespoons of plain Greek yogurt, or a cup of unsweetened almond milk. These are amounts people can visualize and repeat without stress. When guidance feels doable, people follow it. And when they follow it, they see results. That reinforces confidence far more than any lecture ever could. Another important part of empowerment is removing the fear of getting it wrong. Many Americans live with constant worry around food, especially those managing blood sugar. They're afraid that one mistake will undo everything. Simple, familiar solutions reduce that fear. When someone knows that a small, balanced snack supports their body rather than sabotages it, food stops being an enemy. It becomes a tool. That shift lowers anxiety, improves sleep, and stabilizes hormones, creating a positive feedback loop that benefits the entire system. I also see empowerment grow when people notice changes they can feel, not just measure. Better sleep, fewer nighttime bathroom trips, steadier energy in the morning, warmer hands and feet. These are tangible wins. They remind people that their body is still responsive. When someone feels better, they're more likely to stay consistent. And consistency is what drives long-term improvement in insulin sensitivity and metabolic health. Pills can't create that kind of engagement, but simple habits can. Familiar solutions also respect cultural and economic realities. Not everyone has access to specialty foods or the budget for supplements. But most people can find nuts, yogurt, or basic pantry items at their local grocery store. When health advice fits into everyday American life, it feels inclusive rather than exclusive. That matters, because empowerment only works when people feel the advice was made for them, not for an idealized version of someone else. In my experience, the moment people feel empowered is the moment they stop asking, "What am I doing wrong?" and start asking, "What small thing can I do tonight?" That question is powerful because it invites action without fear. It turns health into a series of manageable choices instead of a lifelong struggle. And when people realize that familiar, simple solutions can protect their blood sugar, their sleep, and their independence, they don't just follow the advice, they own it. That sense of ownership is where real, lasting change begins. I've come to understand that for many Americans, health is ultimately about independence. It's not about perfect lab numbers or adding year fours for the sake of a chart. It's about being able to live on your own terms. When people talk to me about their fears, they rarely say they're afraid of high blood sugar itself. They say they're afraid of losing balance, of needing help to stand up, of not trusting their body in familiar spaces. Independence is deeply tied to identity, especially in American life, where self-reliance is valued from an early age. Protecting that independence is one of the most meaningful goals of metabolic and hormonal care. What often goes unspoken is how quickly people begin to limit themselves when they feel unstable. They avoid long walks, stop carrying groceries, hesitate on stairs, or choose to sit rather than stand. These small adjustments feel harmless, but over time they weaken muscles, slow circulation, and increase insulin resistance. Blood sugar control and physical confidence are more connected than most people realize. When muscles are less active, they absorb less glucose. When circulation slows, nerves receive less oxygen. This creates a cycle where rising blood sugar and declining mobility reinforce each other. Breaking that cycle doesn't require aggressive intervention. It requires consistent support for the systems that keep the body steady. Nighttime plays a crucial role in protecting independence because it's when the body restores the very systems that keep people mobile and alert. During sleep, insulin receptors reset, nerves repair, and muscles recover from daily use. If overnight blood sugar remains high, that repair process is impaired. Over time, this can contribute to weaker legs, numbness in the feet, and slower reflexes, all of which increase fall risk. Many people don't realize that what happens while they sleep influences how confidently they move the next day. Stabilizing blood sugar overnight is not just about metabolism. It's about preserving the ability to walk, balance, and react safely. Simple bedtime habits can quietly protect independence by supporting these nighttime repair processes. When the body receives enough nutrients to feel safe, stress hormones decrease, sleep deepens, and insulin works more efficiently. Better insulin action means muscles get the fuel they need, and nerves receive the nourishment required to maintain sensation and coordination. Over weeks and months, this translates into steadier steps, improved grip strength, and greater confidence in everyday movement. These changes may be subtle, but they add up to a meaningful difference in how people live. I often remind my patients that independence is not lost all at once, and it's not preserved by a single dramatic action. It's maintained through daily choices that support strength, balance, and metabolic stability. When people wake up with steadier energy and clearer focus, they're more likely to move, engage, and stay active. Movement, in turn, improves insulin sensitivity and circulation, creating a positive cycle that reinforces independence. This is why protecting blood sugar is about more than avoiding complications. It's about maintaining the freedom to participate in life. There is also a psychological component to independence that shouldn't be overlooked. When people trust their bodies, they take initiative. They plan trips, accept invitations, and stay socially connected. When trust is lost, isolation often follows. By helping people understand and support their body's rhythms, especially overnight, we help restore that trust. They stop seeing their body as unpredictable and start seeing it as something they can care for effectively. That sense of control is deeply empowering and directly tied to quality of life. From a medical standpoint, the goal is not to eliminate every risk, but to reduce vulnerability. Stable blood sugar supports healthy nerves, strong muscles, and clear thinking. These are the foundations of independence. When care focuses on these fundamentals, using realistic habits and familiar foods, people are more likely to stay consistent. Consistency is what protects mobility over time. In my practice, the patients who thrive are the ones who understand that independence is built quietly, night after night, through small, thoughtful choices that allow the body to recover, adapt, and remain capable. If there is one piece of advice I give almost every patient, regardless of their blood sugar numbers, it is this: stop waiting for your body to fail before you start supporting it. Most people think meaningful change requires a crisis, a new diagnosis, or a medication adjustment. In reality, the most powerful improvements often come from what you do quietly, consistently, and especially at night. Your evening routine is not just the end of your day, it is the foundation for how your body functions the next morning. If you wake up tired, thirsty, foggy, or disappointed by your fasting blood sugar, that is not a judgment. It is feedback. And feedback is something you can work with immediately. Start with one simple habit tonight. About 2 hours before bed, instead of going to sleep hungry or grazing on something sweet, give your body a small signal of safety. This can be a small handful of plain nuts, a few tablespoons of plain Greek yogurt, or a combination of the two. You are not eating to fill yourself. You are eating to calm your system. When your brain senses steady fuel, stress hormones drop. When stress hormones drop, your liver stops dumping extra sugar into your bloodstream. That alone can lower your morning reading by several points within days. You don't need a scale or a tracker. Use your hand as a guide. If it fits comfortably in your palm, it's enough. Pair that habit with something equally simple. Protect your sleep window. Turn off bright screens at least an hour before bed. Dim the lights. Let your nervous system slow down. Deep sleep is when your body repairs insulin response, nerves, and muscle tissue. If you cut that process short night after night, no diet can fully compensate. Even improving sleep by 30 minutes can make a measurable difference in how steady you feel the next day. Many people are surprised to see their fasting blood sugar improve simply because they slept better, not because they ate less. Hydration also matters more than most people realize. Drink a glass of water in the evening, not right before bed, but earlier, so your body isn't stressed or dehydrated overnight. Dehydration concentrates glucose in the bloodstream and can make morning numbers look worse than they truly are. Small adjustments like this reduce unnecessary strain and help your body regulate itself more smoothly. In the morning, resist the urge to judge your body based on a single number. Look at patterns instead. Ask yourself how you feel getting out of bed. Are your legs steadier? Is your head clearer? Do you feel less rushed and reactive? These signs matter as much as any reading. When you feel better, you move more naturally, and movement helps muscles absorb sugar without extra insulin. That's how independence is protected, not through force, but through flow. Most importantly, be consistent, not perfect. You do not need to do everything at once. Choose one nighttime habit and repeat it for 7 days. Let your body show you the response. When you see even a small improvement, trust it. That trust lowers anxiety, and lower anxiety improves blood sugar all on its own. Health is not about control, it's about cooperation. When you work with your body instead of fighting it, it responds faster than you expect. Start tonight. Small, familiar choices done consistently are enough to change how you wake up, how you move, and how confident you feel in your own body.